Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I'm back for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery where we're working on spring bulbs. I've got updates on my Fritillaria piece. I'm going to be showing you my current work on my cabinet of curiosities. But first of all, I just wanted to bring a few things up from the garden that I picked today because they are spring bulbs in the middle of winter here in Melbourne. So not quite sure. I do remember in past years that they do come out, but I think because it's only just recently got particularly cold, who knows, they might have got a bit confused. So there's beautiful daffodil. Isn't she a beauty? So I think I'll have to definitely do a daffodil in some form, possibly for my cabinet of curiosities or maybe for another piece. And then just lots of jonquils, and they're very strongly scented. I will actually have to just pop them out the door after I've shown them to you because they do tend to make me sneeze a little bit, but I just had to show you how beautiful are these. And if you don't have anything to sort of take as inspiration, hopefully you might be able to take some inspiration from these. These have just naturalized in my garden. I would have planted them years and years ago and they just pop up. Just look at the beautiful delicate pale yellow and then the really bright yellow centers. I might even have to try pressing some of these and see how they press as a pressed flower. I have a little flower press up here that I've brought back here. Used to press flowers a lot as a kid. Incredibly sweet, and I just love these white ones, pure white. Sorry, I'll get them where you can actually see them. I think I saw one of these had a little spider still hiding on it, but we'll try and return him to the garden once we're done. We will move on to our cabinet of curiosities. So I'm just going to bring you up a little bit so that we can see the cabinet in its full look. So you might have remembered from a previous video, if you happened to watch it, that I had this old cutlery drawer that I was cleaning out from the house that I'm cleaning out at the moment. It had never really, I don't know if it had been used, but it was just sitting there, probably used for something else. I don't know if it was ever used for cutlery. And so I had the idea to turn this into a cabinet of curiosities, particularly because I'd picked up some of these lovely little tins from the reverse art truck. I always have to remember which way they open. And I was thinking I can put little things. I think indeed some of these tins I had actually put something into. Let's see if I can find some that seem to have a rattle. I'm guaranteed I won't be able to find the one that I'd actually put something into. Oh, there's something rattling in those. So let's see if we can find it. There we go. So this one I had put a few of the maple leaf seeds into, and I was thinking I could put a lining in them, possibly a Liberty fabric, and then do a stitch of, in this case, probably a maple leaf on the outside. And so I wanted to make a place where I could store them, and thought that this little cutlery drawer would be absolutely perfect for the task. And so what I've been busy doing, in fact I won't put them back in because that way you'll be able to actually see, is making some spaces to keep different things in. And I've taken my beautiful set of William Morris postcards, which has just such a wonderful variety from the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. And I picked out some. I've started with a sort of a bluey section over on this side, and then I think I'll kind of go through different colourways. And I've started lining inside and then adding some additional little shelves of the size that I want them to be, so that I can actually keep things in there. So this one I've done here, and what I've basically been doing is measuring the area. So in this case, kind of measuring that I wanted something of this size, and then I've been cutting my card to the size that I want it to be. And the way I've been measuring and doing it is getting a piece of paper and then sort of putting it down and folding it in, working out what size I need, and then using that to cut my postcards into the shapes that I need. and I've been kind of reinforcing the shelves by this one. You can see there's a bit that sort of comes down and overlaps, and I've also put some extra paper along the front of the shelves to give them further reinforcing. So just kind of layering up using different postcards, but all in the same sort of colorway. So I'll just lift it up. I can't really kind of give you, ultimately it will sit up like this, but to show you for this I need to kind of leave it like that, but they're all beautifully lined in here. And then I used just some washi tape that I had. I'm looking to see if I can find it. Yep, there we go. Just a washi tape. I think it probably maybe came from Kmart, and I've put that over to give a really nice neat edge on the front, and I'll continue to work my way across as I go, and that's just good because it covers where the postcards have been cut off. So this section down here will be for my tins, which will be places that I can start to put some specimens, so my specimen tins, because that's what this cabinet of curiosities is all about, is about having sort of stitched inspired field notes, specimen-y sort of curiosities really. And I want it to be something that will be displayed on the bookshelf with my stitched larger format field notes, and kind of I want the two of them to talk to each other, as it were, to be a sort of consolidated whole. So those fit in. I don't know why at this end it's slightly tighter than at the other. I probably wasn't as spot on with my dimensions, but that's still pretty good. And then I've made a place. This one is still, I think, going to go on my cover piece, although I might end up making a different cover. I haven't decided yet, but I want to make more field notes of this size for each of the prompts. And I want to kind of do sampling of the Fritillaria. I want to put fabrics and patterns and do stitching that inspires me of it into these little sort of stitched field notes, and I wanted a place they could go. And so my thinking is they can either sit in flat like that and be sort of stacked up, or they can sit in here like a little bookshelf, and then they'll just be there so that you can pull them out. So that will be my little place for that. And then this is another really fun little idea I had when I was at the beach the other weekend. I picked up some amazing seaweeds. Here they are. This is just a box of assorted things, but have a look at this bright. This is the colour it came. In fact, it was probably even brighter before it dried. It's fully dried now. Doesn't even have a super soupy seaweedy sort of smell. This one's still got a bit of a sea smell, but not a fishy smell, which is good. But yeah, just the most incredible, and I want to capture that in stitching. But I thought and remembered that I had these tiny little jars. They came as a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for $2, mini gift glass jars. Now they come with plastic lids, but I've carved myself using a saved cork, so just a bit of cork, a little stopper that's not plastic, because I didn't want to have plastic in my my cabinet of curiosities. So very rustic little cork, and then I stuck my bit of seaweed in, and then can push the cork in. And then I was thinking, okay, so what's the slow stitch element that goes with this? And I decided to make, and we can finish doing this together, a little label, because what that can then do, and when it's standing up it will work a bit better, is the little bottle can be on the front of the shelf, and then the label can be sitting along the shelf. And then when you pull it out, you can see what the specimen is. And I've decided to use, it's a good opportunity to use some nice little doilies. So this was just a little edge piece on like a napkin, a beautiful piece of embroidery. And I thought the colours went well, because you often see green seaweed as well as the sort of pinky colours. And then I picked out a really vibrant pink to evoke the seaweed. And I'll show you how I made this piece, and we can finish stitching it around. So that's the start of my cabinet of curiosities, and I'll come back in future episodes and we can do some more. In fact, actually, before we do that, before we stitch this, I'll just show you a few other ideas. So I've got this beautiful piece of driftwood. Looks like it's wet, but it's like, I'm not sure whether it's, can't quite pick the smell, but it came from the beach, and it's like it's sort of absorbed I don't know, sea oils or something. But I was thinking I'd have to get a good wood glue. But I was thinking I could stick that on here and have that, and then possibly have a little stitch something hanging off it, because this will be, as I say, sitting up on the shelf like this. So this one I'm thinking will go into it. I've also got these little Bon Maman jars, which I thought could be good for some specimens. I could probably do some little boxes if they were bigger than what could actually fit in here. I could even do some little things like almost like a butterfly or something like that in there, and I could do some covering of the lids with fabric and embroidery and things like that. So that's another idea for the mix. I'll just pop these things actually back in here, and then that way just saving little things that could also be labels. In fact, I'll keep this one out to talk through the technique I did. Keep my pink thread out. I've also got these plywood tags, which I thought I could always maybe attach some little stitcheries to as well, and they could end up somewhere in here. Other lovely bits of driftwood. I just love how driftwood feels. It's so beautiful. So maybe even the two of these, maybe even a little cluster or something, and maybe a piece of fabric wrapped around it that might say field notes. Who knows? Who knows? Lots of possibilities. Got plenty of project time to work it out. When I was at the reverse art truck the other week, and in fact before this project actually started, I'd picked up these little, they would be just little samples for when you're buying Formica, but I quite liked their wood look on this side, and I thought I could even use them as well by putting some fabric on this side that I'd stitched onto, and then making little tags, little reference tags. I don't know. Possibilities. I stuck two of them together to see how that would work as well, although I've got some glue on the outside. I've also got wooden sort of curtain rings that I thought I could do some little stitchings into, or even make like a sort of a magnifying glass kind of looking thing, but have a stitchery in it. And I've got these bobbins, which came, they came from Purveyor of Reclaimed Textiles, and yeah, they were an absolute bargain because someone originally paid $16 for them. But I was wondering if I could do some little scrolls or something coming off them. I'm just wondering how I'd display them, whether I'd have them sitting in a little jar, or could they be like, could I have like a little butterfly or something propped up on the top of it? Anyway, I'm going to keep that in there. And then another one, I have these ones which are plasticky little rings, but I was thinking whether I could use, something else that's got caught in there, whether I could use this interesting meshy stuff which I got from, I wrote it down, got it from the Myrtleford op shop, and it's from a bigger roll that I have, and to wrap around them, and again to make something like little hoops that I could put tiny little embroideries in. So we might yeah, maybe we'll do that in a future one. We'll come back and make a few more things for here, because I do want to show you this little stitchery and specimen jar idea, and then I want to get back onto my Fritillaria larger form slow stitch piece. So I know some of you were very keen to see how this would be developing, so that is the start of my field notes cabinet of curiosities. Some other things that I wanted to show you. Sorry, I've got lots of things. I've been saving things. I did a big desk cleanup, and then I've been saving things on my desk. Some other things that might provide some inspiration both for my cabinet of curiosities, possibly even to decorate around the outside, are these other postcard sets. So these are beautiful ones, the wild cards. And it's from the book The Lost Words and the Lost Spells. But let me show you. Some of them have gone off and travelled to my stitchy friends when I've sent packages off. But aren't those just beautiful nature? Very whimsical are some of the images. Seals, beautiful birds, and on each of them, yeah, it's got lovely prose from the book as well. The grey heron. Be a bramble of some sort. The Fagus sylvatica, the beech. Oh, beech. And so yeah, it's a lovely, lovely set. Just again, beautiful, beautiful imagery. Again, sort of got that botanical sense to it, but a bit more whimsy. I think these are these kingfishers. Yeah, the kingfisher, which is actually pictured on the cover as well. So yeah, thought you might like to see those and draw some inspiration from them. Those ones have got turned upside down. Even some of these are amazing, just tiny little line drawings. The weasel. Don't know if you can pick out the weasel. And beautiful owl. Beautiful little birds. But yeah, I just love them. I could actually frame many of these up and be quite happy with them as pictures as well. So that's one set. And then another set that I wanted to show you. I think I got all of these around the same time, actually, possibly in the same order, is this set of botanicals. So these are from the archives of the New York Botanical Garden, and I've used quite a few of these actually for my stitchy friends. I think sometimes I've used them for wrapping cards and other things around. But yeah, they've got the beautiful botanical style, vintage botanical images, orchids. So lots of flowers. So yeah, just another idea. The monkey orchid, they really do look like little monkeys. So I won't go through all of those, but just a thought. And I don't remember these being particularly expensive. I remember at the time thinking, oh, they're actually great because you get 100 postcards and you can use them as cards. So I'll bring you down now and we can get into doing a bit of stitching, I think. So it's Friday evening here. Been a busy week. So I can't remember when I last made a video, but I'm here now. I've had a shower, put on my Jimmy jammies, got my cup of tea here. It's green tea. I probably shouldn't be having green tea in the evening, but I'll just have a sip. So before I start stitching, I should actually explain what I've done here. So what I did was just picked a piece of fabric that had this lovely little embroidery on it. So let's say this was our lovely little embroidery down here. I tore it to the size I wanted, and then I folded it over to kind of work out what size I want. And then on the side that didn't have the embroidery, I've written with my friction marker seaweed, and then I've stitched it using 3 strands of an embroidery floss. So I first stitched the seaweed, and now I've folded it over and I'm working around with stitches to sew it sort of closed. And with my little bottle, I've put a loop around and tied it off around the neck, and it stays in place because the neck's got this sort of more bulbous bit. And then I've taken with my needle through to the other side and tied a little bow in place to tie that and hold that there, because then in my little cabinet of curiosities it will sit on the shelf with its label going back into the shelf and the little bottle on display, and when you get it out you can see that that's a seaweed. So I think that's a lot of fun, and it's nice to kind of have some real specimens in with the mix. But I'm always a bit wary to put sort of natural things in with fabric stitchings and things like that, because you worry that they might kind of degrade the work, although sometimes that's part of the charm, isn't it? But I just love how these projects can kind of expand and we can see where our imagination takes us. And I'll be getting my packages off to my winners of my giveaway this weekend. I was waiting for everyone to come back to me with their preferences for fabrics and colours, etc. So I'll be stamping up a storm tomorrow and pop those in the mail. At least I've cleaned my desk, so I've now got room to put down my hard surface and get stitching away. Might make that last stitch. So I've just then gone around doing a running stitch with that same sort of three ply of the thread, and then at the end I'll probably just do a knot to tie it off. like that, and then I can probably secrete the end carefully into the fabric. So I'm just going to try and put my needle so that it will go between the two layers of fabric. Make sure it's not coming out on the front, which it's trying to. Okay, pull it through and then pull it a bit tighter so it will actually just spring back into the fabric using my lovely scissors from Fleur. I saw Rachel using hers from the same workshop that she was at last March this year, and how the year is flying, seriously flying. So excited to be back with Fleur at Green Door Studios next year as well, and I've got an extra bit of Fleur when she comes to Melbourne later this year. So yeah, that's my little seaweed. I hope you like that. Hopefully that might have given you some ideas, and I'm sure you can find these little ones in craft stores. And it wasn't too hard, even though it's very rustic, to just carve the cork. I just used a pair of old scissors just to kind of cut the piece into the shape that I wanted. I was actually going through my old corks the other day and thinking, oh, do I really need them? But I'm glad I kept them. Okay, so we can now move on to our Fritillaria piece. Now I probably should, what I'll do is I'll just actually show you, it's probably better actually to be down a bit lower, so I might even bring you down a tiny bit lower just so you can really see the detail, and we can go all the way around. So some of these pieces we do need to still stitch down. I've just got them sort of tacked down, but we need to stitch all around them. I love this. This was from a piece of lace, and when I kind of cut it out, it looks so much like an insect to me. I don't know if the lace was always intended to look like an insect. I ended up cutting off some bits there, but it kind of reminds me of butterfly or a bee or something like that. And then I found this tiny little offcut which had beads on it, and I thought, oh, they look like little clusters of like butterfly eggs or something like that. So I sewed those on there. And so yeah, I think in the last video I was working on the arrangement for this. I ended up tweaking a few things, changing a few things, and I've subsequently added some more which still need to be stitched down. But yeah, just love how it's got those layers. It's got the trees which relate to the text about the where I first saw the Fritillaria. I've added this one on just today, so that still needs to be stitched down as well. And then yeah, this one needs to be stitched down, that needs to be stitched down, and those need to be stitched down. And what I've also been doing, and we can do some of this together as well, is stitching around these little sort of drawings on here. So I've just used a regular sewing cotton and done that. And I've also been doing some, I guess, decorative stitching. I didn't want to do cantha stitching all over it, so I've been doing some crosses across here. I quite like that they get a bit bigger as I go across. I've done some little crosses down here. I'm planning to do some over here as well, and it just helps to hold this piece of printed fabric nice and sort of contained against the page. I don't mind a little bit of kind of movement in it, because it then does make me have the sense of it being a page as well. And I'm pretty sure when it goes on its piece of cardboard, or its double piece of cardboard, I think it's actually going to sit pretty securely anyway, so I'm not too fussed. I think it will be pretty good. So I can put my bright pink thread away because we don't need that. So maybe we'll start off and do some of that decorative stitching. I have threaded up a needle, so you don't need to have the tedious task of watching me thread it up. And what I have done, and you probably can't see it, is I've just marked out where I want to put my little crosses on. Now let me make sure that I don't go off camera. So I've just put some little pin pricks in a little square shape. This is a great little tip if you're wanting to do somewhat even crosses. I must admit I didn't do it up here. I freehanded those, and then here I wanted to be a tiny bit neater. So I've drawn myself 3 squares essentially, with just putting dots in the corners, and then I can bring my needle out where the little dots are and go across on the diagonal to the other dot. And then cross on the diagonal to the other dot on this side. Oops, and not catch on the fabric. So that's given me a pretty neat little cross. The good thing I found with this printed fabric, I was worried it might be yeah, not great to stitch through when I bought it because I didn't know what its consistency would be. It's actually really lovely to work with. It does a great job. I'll definitely be sort of, yeah, continuing to do that for these larger panels and possibly even for some of my other things in the cabinet of curiosities. I love saying that. So yeah, it does help just having those little dots because it gives you something to aim for. If you didn't want to do it with your needle, you could also do it with a friction marker. Just be aware some people have trouble with friction marker coming back. I haven't had it. Doesn't get particularly cold enough here to do that, but if you are in a very cold climate, you might have that problem. So I thought before I do the stems with you, I might just take some of this pale purple coloured thread excuse me, just had a tickle in the throat, and we'll stitch down a few of these pieces that still need stitching down. So because I've got you close, I'll just need to make sure I stay on camera. And so I'm just coming through from the back and just kind of putting tiny little stitches over a few parts of the pieces to hold them down in place, and just using a thread colour that's very similar to the main sort of structural element here, or the lace piece that I've got. So really just doing little couching stitches to just tack down each of the leaves, for example, on both sides. Just enough to hold it in place. Can probably even trim off a tiny bit of the little extra bit of tulle there. Sometimes I don't mind leaving a bit of the extra tulle around. It kind of makes it like a shadow, but I reckon I can probably take an extra little bit off there. Quite a few layers of fabric underneath and lace, and then another piece of lace and the fabric that I've printed on. But I do like that sense of layering things up. And I'm happy now that I've kind of added some extra bits of the purple. Thank you to everyone that yeah, gave me my thoughts as I was playing around. Some of you said, yeah, you could tell my mind was whirring in the last video. It certainly was. It's always just about getting that composition sort of feeling nice and balanced. There's a million different ways to do it, but you've kind of got to get something that you're happy with. And sometimes I like to kind of lay it out, but then look at it, step away from it, come back to it, look at it, and then see what it's telling me that it wants. Do your stitched pieces talk to you as well and tell you what they want? I mean, I don't mean actually talking to you, but you get a sense from them. You either know something's finished or it's not. So I'm just working my way down the other side and putting stitches in. I won't stitch right out onto the side fabric because this is going to be folded over around the cardboard, because these are going to be standing up sort of display pieces. But I don't mind having the little bits kind of sticking out. I want that effect around the edges. I just have to be careful not to put stitches into them. I've done these ones down the bottom. So I hope you're having a lovely day or a lovely evening. Hopefully you're stitching away or relaxing, maybe with a cup of tea. Maybe you've got your cat or your dog sitting next to you. Maybe you're just enjoying some you time, which I hope you are, because we all deserve you time. I'm going to tie that off, and then we can just jump over to the other side, and then yeah, I'll show you the stem, and I'll show you some of the stitching I've been doing on the Fritillaria itself as well, which you can probably barely tell looking at it, but if you feel it, you can tell there's There's stitching there. Cork. Well, in fact, you can tell on the back as well where I've been doing the stitching on the Fritillaria. All my threads are trying to roll onto the surface. So I'll just quickly get these ones tacked down. Those I think will stay in place for now, although I can probably quickly do them and then jump across. Let's just quickly get our little butterfly, or they wouldn't be bee eggs, because bees are made in the hive, aren't they? But they could definitely be little butterfly eggs. Even if this is a bee, they could still be butterfly eggs, couldn't they? I don't like wasting little pieces, and I just popped it on my piece, and I thought, yeah, they really do look like some little eggs laid on a bit of leaf. You know, when you're in the garden and you turn a leaf over and there's a whole little colony of something. Sometimes you don't know what they are. Are they predators or nice butterflies? So usually I just leave them. Live and let live in the garden, I say. We get the sulphur-crested cockatoos, and I still remember the first year I planted sunflowers in the garden, and the cockatoos, they love sunflowers. And Alex remembers one day it was breakfast time and he was looking down into the garden, and he saw something kind of moving. We've got a lower vegetable patch, so it's down a set of stairs on a sort of lower terrace area, and he saw something moving, and he saw this sunflower come waving into view from sort of next to the stairs, and it had a cockatoo sitting on it, munching on the seeds, and just kind of just looking at Alex going, yep, so what? Alex still reminisces about that cockatoo. And then there was another day when the cockatoos descended en masse. They were all over the backyard. They were landed on the next door neighbour's roof on their aerial. In fact, the next door neighbours were looking out their window into our backyard. It was quite embarrassing, but they were just here to feed on the goodness. So I've just passed on the back of the piece over to here so I can keep stitching. I could have tied it off on the back, but sometimes I like to just add the stitches, and I think it all adds interest to the back. If someone finds this one day, takes it off its card, they'll be able to see that it was hand stitched. Probably by then everything will be made by 3D printing, and these will be the lost arts. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? It's just something so amazingly stress relieving about this, even when you have times when you might be anxious or something. If you can kind of get yourself with just something in your hand, stitch into, I just find it absolutely puts me into a total state of flow. And thanks everyone for your continued good wishes for my papa, for my dad. He's still recovering. He's still pretty weary, and we've still got some things we need to investigate further on the medical front, just to find out what's kind of the underlying stuff that's going on. So we'll keep doing that. But thank you for your kind thoughts. Most appreciated. And sending out kind thoughts to those of you that might be struggling as well with health issues or other challenges in your family. Sending you my very kindest and gentlest thoughts, and be gentle with yourselves and be gentle with those around you, and make sure you take some time for yourself. I think that's the big thing. We can try and sort of be so much of service to others, but sometimes we do also need to just be of service to ourselves. What do they say on planes? Put your life mask on before helping someone else with theirs. I guess it's the same theory, right? Make sure you fill your own cup, or at least try to top up your cup, as well as obviously helping others. But no, I'm lucky. Mum's still very, very well, very active. But just want to make sure that we find out what's happening for that dad. Get it sorted out. So that's all done. Will I just travel? Yeah, let's travel my needle down. So when I'm doing that, I'm just picking up tiny bits of the backing fabric. And what have I got there? I've got a thread caught in one of the calico threads. There we go. Probably should have tied off because I'm probably going to need some more thread, but anyway. Just checking I haven't come through to the front. No, I haven't. I'll just get a couple of holding stitches in. I can always come back and add some more after. I just didn't want it falling off when we're stitching the middle section. So let me know if you're tempted to make a cabinet of curiosities. You could even make it, you don't need a cutlery drawer, you don't need a wooden box, you could make it just with a cardboard box and just cover it with nice images. You don't need those postcards, you could have nice botanical images you've downloaded, or some nice wrapping paper, or even you can use serviette or cover it with fabrics. Lots of possibilities, and I just love the way you can make your own little shelves, because the things I'm putting in aren't super heavy, so I can just make little cardboard bespoke shelves of the size that I want, which means I'll be able to fit lots of interesting things in there. I think my nephews and niece will love it, so not sure when they'll next be in Melbourne. It's a big birthday for my brother next year, so we'll be going over to Western Australia. They live down sort of near Bustleton, not well, but they're out in a rural area. They bought a beautiful block with like a rural reserve, nature reserve on it, and have built a house there. Got horses, they've become horse crazy. My niece Emily Rose just recently got a new, because she's growing, and so she had to get a new pony. Okay, so we've got the pieces stitched down, so let's do the stem. First of all, I'll just show you what I did was a back stitch, and then I whipped it so that I got a nice sort of even. I just love that it's, yeah, just given a lovely edge to the leaf. I don't think I need to do both sides. I think likewise on this one, I'll just do the darker side down here. So maybe we can do that. And also I can show you how I've just been doing tiny little stitches into where the little check is. I've also done a back stitch around the outer, just where the darker area was. And I can probably do another darker stitch down there as well, so we can do that too, but let's do a leaf first, then we'll come and do that. So let's start, which side's the darker side? That side's the darker side, so that's the side I'll stitch, I think. And so I do my version of back stitch where I go forward and then back, and then the next stitch I go forward from where I was, because that way I won't undo the stitch. And now I jump forward one more, and it gives you a neater finish on the back. That's why I like it than the traditional back stitch. And because we're going to be whipping these, it doesn't matter that our stitches are a bit bigger. They don't have to be super small. And as you can see, this fabric's really great to stitch through. I'm just so pleased that a printable fabric is so nice to work with. It is a very fine weave, so if you do kind of put a needle mark in, you just have to rub the fabric a bit for it to sort of self-heal, but it does self-heal. Another thought I had is if I was worried about the kind of bobbliness of the fabric sort of sitting off, I could use an interfacing, sort of one of the ones that connects two bits of fabric together. What's it called? Oh, I can't think. Like an iron-on adhesive, double-sided, like a steamer seam or something, but that does make things not as nice to stitch through. So I think I'd rather this effect where I do stitching in, which is the whole idea of this project, do slow stitching into our pieces. And I like that these aren't kind of overwhelming the botanical design, but there is just, yeah, when you look at it closely, you're like, oh, there's stitches there. So I do like that. So now I'm going to jump up to here. But yeah, you could absolutely just keep going on these pieces. I was even thinking, do I take some purpley, pinky coloured thread through this lace work down the side? But I don't think I need to. That was before I added the other bits of lace up here. I think it was Pat that was saying she liked these sort of lavender looking pieces up the side. So put them back for you, Pat. So I had only had one of them, I think, after I'd finished and shared the photos on the Roxy group. I sometimes forget and just share the video, but then I think, oh, maybe some folks don't want to watch the video. They just want to see some photos. So I've started adding some photos as well. Although if you're watching the video this far in, you're probably, yeah, you don't mind watching videos. And I'm very grateful to have your company. I do think of you all, even though I don't know what most of you look like. I know what some of your stitching looks like, which is beautiful. But I do imagine you all here. Cups of tea in hand, stitching. We'd all have our threads rolling all over the table. We'd be sharing things. But instead I just, natter away and think of you in the process. Okay, so I'm up to the end, and now I'm going to just pop up next to where that last stitch was, but hopefully not through the same hole. And then I'm going to just start taking my needle down. If you find that you're snagging your thread, you can actually use the back of your needle, but I don't think I need to do that here. And I'm just taking my thread through each of the back stitches one by one. And what that gives us is a really nice little wrapped. And so that's what they mean by the whipping. Whipping. And you just keep going down, so you're always, and so because I need to jump here, I'm going to go to the back here. I'll just give you a look at how that looks. Hopefully you can see okay. It is nighttime, so it's that usual thing that the lights are probably, lighting's not awesome, but that's when I get to stitch, so. It's more probably the shadows are a challenge. And so we just make our way down. And if you wanted something thicker, you could then work your way back up and whip again if you really wanted to. You can also do two whips on each as you go down, so you can play around. But as I say, I quite want mine to just be nice and subtle, just so that when you feel it, you can kind of tell there's something there, but you wouldn't immediately know. It's just so nice to have a piece that has my own writing integrated into it, my own little stories. I think that will make it a nice keepsake. Hopefully my nephews and niece might be interested in some of my sewing pieces. Last time they were in Melbourne, in fact I was just looking at the images the other day. They all of them got stuck into crafting, and even my nephews were really enjoying sewing. So might have to get them co-opted in. They were quite excited actually that their auntie made YouTube videos. I said, yeah, sewing videos. They're like, wow. They're growing up so fast, it is hard having them living away in another state. I probably should just jump on. I have said though to my nephew Bailey, who's the oldest, like if he wants to come over one school holidays, I'll fly him over and we can spend some quality time. The other two are probably still a bit too young to do that solo. I don't know, I might need to plan a trip later this year or something. Got a holiday for the end of August, which I think I'm really going to need that, so that will be lovely. Alex and his brother will go skiing quite a few days, and Travis and I will hang out. We'll hit any of the op shops we can hit. Have to check which ones are dog friendly. Otherwise we'll do some op shops on the days that Alex doesn't go skiing, and Alex and Travis can go for a walk while I op shop. Not that I really need anything else in here. but there are so many good things at the regional op shops up in that area. I've never been disappointed. And I've been using things like that that wrap that I was showing you at the start of the video. That came from the Myrtleford op shop up there, so it's not like I got things that aren't being used. I think that's my main thing. If I get things, use them. And a project like this is just great because I've been using special things I have, like these beautiful beaver pieces. I'm actually really happy I went down that path of adding them. I wasn't sure it was all going to kind of come together, but I think it works well. And it doesn't have to be the exact same tone. It's kind of that lighter tone that it's capturing. Now this is a longer stitch, so I think I might do 2 wraps around it. So that's what it looks like with 2 wraps. I reckon I can even do 3 wraps. Let's go a bit crazy, Christine. Yeah, that worked. When you are doing this, the thread itself gets a little bit twisty as well, but you can always just let your thread kind of unwind by holding it up. So this stem's a bit more sort of mottled-y, but I guess I could do that. But maybe I won't. Will I do that now? I was thinking I might even do some nice little root bits coming off here, like some little sort of turkey style stitches. But yeah, let's finish the stem. I'll do a piece up here, I think. Because I had to stop my video, I'm not sure where I'm up to on time, but we'll see how we go. This doesn't, as I say, take too long, particularly when you do the bigger stitches. You hear the rain pouring down outside. It's been really windy and really just this week's been a very sort of wet on and off again weather, which is funny why all the bulbs have decided to bloom. Not my Fritillaria yet, because that doesn't come until later, till September usually. Although the year is going fast, isn't it? I will get onto some Christmas crafts at some point, but as I say, I just haven't been getting as much videoing time, so no hurry, no rush, no pressure. We do this for fun. I know some people worry, oh, I haven't done a video or whatever, but no. When I'm here, I'm here. I'm grateful that you come back and check, or that you discover this channel and watch a video. If you want to catch more of them, you can subscribe. Lovely to have folks join our little community. It is nice to get to know people. Always appreciate a comment. Yeah, it's just lovely to connect with kindred spirits, because you don't feel alone when you find this community of people that are equally passionate about creating, the joys of creating. I'm going to have to rethread probably before I come back down and whip. See if we can get to the top first. And again, this stitching into the fabric helps to hold it all in place. So yeah, if you're doing that, you probably don't need to do like full cantha. You absolutely can. And some of my pieces I might do full cantha stitching, but some of these I want to keep more closer to what an actual field journal would look like. I kind of think of these as the ones after you've been out in the field and done those smaller field notes, you'd come back and you'd draw it all up properly and make it decorative and put your story around it. So that's how I'm thinking of my piece. and just having that sense of sampling some of the colours and textures and things. Now we're almost out of thread. I should have probably not tried to do that last stitch, but let's see if we can get that last stitch in, and then we will tie off on the back, and then we can come back and whip down it, and then we'll get onto the bloom. And then see if we've got time to just have a go at putting a few little roots in and see if we like the look of those. So these are just regular sewing cottons I'm using because they do give that really nice, just fine look to it all. And yeah, the whipping, you can just tell the difference between where it's whipped and not yet whipped. It just looks so much better where it has actually had that whipped stitch. Otherwise it looks a little bit, as you can see, just a little bit jerky when it's just the regular back stitch. I'm going to just pop out up the top, and then let's just work our way down. And again, some of these I might just do two whips on, so they are bigger stitches. Actually quite like this once you've got the foundation laid. It's like when you're doing weaving with thread, it's very relaxing. Oops, there we are. Oops, nope, catching on my little bulby pieces down the bottom. I just love this beaded section down the bottom too. I'm very happy to have done that. So textural, and how I sort of scrunched it up as I stitched it down. It's worked well. I think we're allowed to say that about our own pieces, aren't we? The things we like about them. I always feel a bit funny when I talk about something that I like. Happily say it about other people's, but then I get a bit funny about my own. I think it's that tall poppy syndrome. I think that's a sort of, they refer to that as an Australian thing, don't they? You kind of keep your head down. I remember it was quite funny actually. I was very lucky to be sponsored into a master's program. I did my master's, and they had some awards as part of it. And one of them was a tall poppy award, and I always remember thinking it was the strangest name. And when I got awarded it, I was like, oh, okay, not quite sure what to make of it, but it was a proper recognition award. Was a great honour. That was a tough time in the sense of, like, I was working full time, studying essentially a full time study load as well. But so glad I did it. I think that was when I kind of lost my ability to just sit and like watch a movie, for example. That's when I discovered that I always had to be kind of multitasking. But that's where stitching is so great, because it's giving me something with the hands, but then lets me, for example, watch something and relax into the experience. But I think I lost my ability to just do nothing when I did that many years ago. Because even when I wasn't stitching, I was crafting. Often I was still doing, like, I did a lot of lovely little felty things. Other types of stitching when I wasn't, before I discovered the full joys of slow stitching. I was probably actually doing versions of slow stitching, really, just not by that name. Okay, so without catching further on our bits down here, let's tie that off. Still got some green left, so I can leave that in the needle. I threaded up a bunch of needles before we started because I thought that takes a bit of the tedium out of it. And then let's just do a little bit of this. Again, I've got a needle threaded, so using this vintage sort of purpley pinky cotton, and so we can just do some back stitch, just some smallish back stitch down here to outline this darker bit of the petal. So again, it's not all about covering the entire petal. I still want to have the botanical designs, but I just want to pick out some little elements in stitch. So doing quite petite little back stitches here. Not going to whip these ones, so I'll just keep them nice and small. And I'll just go down as far as the sort of darky area is. And then I think I'm probably, there's a bit of tulle that's got caught in my stitching at the back. I'll just get rid of that bit of tulle. Might have to get rid of it afterwards actually. I think I've managed to, don't want to cut my thread. There we go. Cut it off there and there. It's a reason not to leave things randomly around. And then what I've been doing, and I'll do it up this bit, is just doing tiny little stitches into where the checkerboard of the petals are, but just in the very dark areas, not on the side that's a bit sort of lighter. And again, you can probably barely even sort of see them, but they just give a nice little texture. And again, they just help to hold the fabric to the base as well. But I won't do too many of those. And then we can maybe, well, yeah, let's just do a quick little bit of playing with the roots over here, because I think that would be fun. Because I'm going to have to edit 2 bits of video together anyway, and I'll probably take out the bit where I walked out of the room taking the very strongly smelling jonquils out as well. I'm sure we can fit in a little bit of... Now I'm assuming the rooty sort of colours, not actually sure what colours they're meant to be. Let me see if I can find a Fritillaria bulb. So I've only got sort of the... I imagine they'd be whitish sort of colours, but not sure. Fritillaria bulb. Yeah, they're quite white, so I think I might even use some of my vintage crochet yarn, and maybe one that's got a bit of substance to it, like that one there. Got my little ruffy on it. Yeah, I think that could be good. Now I'll probably need a slightly larger needle. And let's just add a few into the mix and see how it looks. So I've tied a knot, and I'm just going to, and I think I'll leave these a bit more scraggly off the surface. So I'll just do some little loops, and then I'll just put a stitch over to hold them in place. Not even sure if I'm doing the exactly precise turkey stitch maneuver, but just need to be able to kind of hold them. And on to the next one. So I'm just leaving some loopy bits, because then I'm going to trim them down at the end. I think I'll be able to kind of just do a hybrid of turkey stitch, not the actual, which is also known as Giord's knot. can probably do some stitches at the back to just make sure they stay secure. Get a few more in so you can get a sense of the look. Oops, that one's probably been pulled. If it pulls too tight, you can just pull it out a bit further with your needle. It's catching on my baubles down the bottom. Very catchy baubles. Okay, maybe one more down that end. And then yeah, I'll come back and add a few more anchoring stitches, but I won't keep you on for that. But we can trim them down probably and just see how they look. So first of all, I'll just cut through the loops. And then I can just sort of, yeah, trim them down to the size I want them to be. And you can just do that sort of gradually. Let's just give that a shake over here. And so yeah, I can probably do a little bit more trimming, and I will do some little stitches over them just to hold them down a bit more. But I think that's, yeah, that adds a bit of fun and a bit of texture to it. So yeah, I'll definitely finish that off. But that's probably enough time that I've taken from you this evening. But I do hope you like how this piece has ended up. I hope you're a bit excited about the cabinet of curiosities, and I will speak to you soon. Take care, everyone. Big love from me. Bye.